Are you ready to find out what are the best practices when it comes to using AI as an entrepreneur? In this video, I'm going to dive through some of the ways that you might not be thinking of how to really use AI for your business and how to implement it. In the last video, I did the biggest mistakes most entrepreneurs make when it comes to using AI. So I'll give you a kind of a breakdown of how to use them better. First one is one of the first experiments that I did with AI is clearly defining your why for your business. Now, a lot of times, especially when you're in startup mode, your why can get really blurry of why you're doing what you're doing, or generally what separates your business from everyone else's business. So for example, for me, for 2XU, I've had my virtual assistant company for 5.5 years now. And for a while there, because we were kind of course, getting in that phase of like accepting any clients we can get, refining a lot of our systems, updating a lot of them depending on who we hired. There was a lot of ambiguity on who we are, what we do, and who we work with. So with AI, I actually went into and dived in having it clarify what our USP or unique selling proposition is, which is essentially that it is an executive assistant with your business operating system. So it's not just hiring an assistant, it's having an assistant who can help build these with you. So we kind of really double down on that. The second is who needs our services, because again, at that stage, that was 2022, we were just getting whatever client came our way, whoever said that they needed an assistant, and we never really clarified who our ideal client is. So it was really important for us, and I used a lot of AI at that point of finding out who, looking at all of the data of like who have been our clients in the last 2 years at that point when I started using AI, and going ahead and problem solving through their problems, who has been our client the longest, what kind of industry, what kind of niche, what kind of person they are. So we really were able to narrow down who we wanted to work with, and specifically the kind of people who we know will be in the company long term versus like finding someone who just needs an assistant for 3 months or 6 months. So we really narrowed down a lot of kind of giving ourselves clarity on what we wanted and what we don't want as well, because then it's easier for me to be able to say no to potential clients if they just don't match. So you can go ahead and just ask ChatGPT like, hey, this is what my business is. What is our company why? What else do we need clarity on? And for me, again, it has given me so much freedom after I really narrowed down who 2XU is and who we want to work with, because then it's easier for us to create systems, create policies and guidelines and everything else based off of that why. So that's one of the biggest ways, one of the first ways as well that I've used AI. Next is I used AI to learn and know more about AI. So that's a best practice that I've seen so many people do, which is just asking AI like, hey, how can I use you better? How can I use you best? Testing out what are the things or what are the limits that AI can do within your business, and then seeing how else it can improve on itself. So for me, I've used AI in a bajillion million ways, and I've used it for a lot of different parts in the business. But one of the biggest ways that I've used AI is for learning how to use AI, how to interact with it, the prompts, basically how to ask it questions, as well as how to use the different automations and how it interacts with one another. Because at the beginning, I thought it was just kind of like Zapier, where it was one after the other, just connecting different apps. But with AI, I've learned, how to get my Gmail to talk to my ChatGPT to be able to create the response for an email, so on and so forth, scheduling that email. So I've learned so much by using AI to ask it, how can I use AI for my business, and be able to explore and implement and execute on a lot of those ideas. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and dive into a little bit of AI and ask it like, hey, how can I use you for my business? What are different ways that I can improve or clarify or basically make my business better using AI? Next is going ahead and having AI also create kind of an implementation map for how you can use AI. So as you have this clarity basically on the why of your business, you understand AI a little bit better, you can even have AI create a roadmap of how you can start implementing and using AI within the business. So for example, for 2XU, a lot of what we did was we went ahead and first created a lot of AI ready data where we created our SOPs, our templates, our assets. We have a whole checklist basically for our clients as well on how to do this. And then we went ahead and actually started implementing a lot of the usual processes that we had, and then starting to put AI into different parts of it. But it's still also making sure that we had the human eyes to actually check if AI is doing well, or if it's automating too much or even hallucinating hallucinating too much. So you can ask AI to be able to break down like, hey, again, this is my business. This is the plan that I want to implement. Can you give me, a breakdown, a project of how to be able to implement this and how to actually make this real for my business? Next is going ahead and creating that AI ready database for you. So like I said, for 2XU, we started with our 7 procedures. We started with our templates, our assets that we currently already had, and made sure that they were all uniform, that they were all made sense, and they were all in one space. So then for us, it was easier for us to grab and pick the data that we needed to be able to train AI on what we needed AI to be trained on. So as a really good example, I have 5 years of content on here on YouTube. So what we did is we did transcriptions of all of my YouTube videos, at least the top ones, the ones that were really, really good. And we went ahead and fed that into ChatGPT of like, hey, these are all of the top videos we've had in the last 5 years. Remember them, keep them in mind. So then it's easier for ChatGPT to answer questions that I sometimes would get on YouTube. By the way, I do respond to YouTube comments a lot. And it also became kind of this really good training ground for skills that I would talk about on this channel. So for example, I have a ton of videos on calendar management, both for virtual assistants and for clients. And anytime that we need that as a resource, we just basically have a ChatGPT bot for it, just because we do have the data ready. On the 2XU side, we used to have an actual AI chatbot on there. It's getting updated at the moment, but basically anytime someone had a question, it would reference my old YouTube videos and answer as if it wasn't me. Just because I've done a ton of content, I do have a ton of data that I can feed AI into that makes it easier for me to train the AI on how to think, write, and respond as me. So look at any data that you have, make sure that if it is customer data, that you have explicit permission from your clients to put in their data on the AI. If not, for us, what we use is brackets, basically, like address and brackets or phone number and brackets, and then it's up to us to make those changes before we send an email or through creating a document. But that's kind of the point, is starting to gather all of the different data that you have within your business, putting into one place. For us, it was a Google Doc/Notion page where we can track where all of the Google Docs were. But it made the process easier for us to prepare something for AI because we already had it in one place and to be able to train the AI in what we needed it to do. Next best practice is, as you're starting to implement AI, is to test and dump tools. What I mean by this is you want to make sure that you're testing the tool as fast as you can, as efficiently as you can, dumping the ones that doesn't fit, and then going into the next thing. So what I mean by that is, for example, for us, we tested a lot of different like AI video repurposing tool before we settled with Opus. But the quickest thing is like, hey, this is the criteria that we want to be met. If it doesn't fit all of this, we look for another tool, because the chances are, especially in the age where people are creating really fast like apps and SaaS or software as a service programs for different people, just because with AI, it makes it a little faster even, is that it's easy to kind of get into or get sucked into the AI tool nerd-a-thon basically. So it's really important that you set your criteria when you're starting to create or starting to use AI and the different tools that it comes with, and going ahead and like test, doesn't match, dump, test, doesn't match, dump, test, found it. And then once you find that tool, stick to it. You don't have to keep looking at the other tools, because yes, there are going to be better and better tools, but you do want, or the essential skill here is to keep in mind that you do want to just learn how this tool works, because then once you learn that, it's going to be easy to transfer those skills to the next tool, in the future. But you want to test, dump, and then stick to the tool that you found and be able to run with it, learn how to use it. And if you do want the upgrade, if you do find like, hey, I want to pay better for this, you definitely can. But the point of this is that you're not going through the rabbit hole of all of the AI tools, because it is a rabbit hole. So I want you to keep that in mind and to be careful. Next best practice is to pick a project that you want to run that on, kind of your pilot project per se, where you are testing out how AI works for this output, this task that you guys have recurringly in business, and see if it actually works. See if it's something that you guys are comfortable with and something that you guys can build upon, which makes it easier for the next step, which is integrating it with your team. If you have a team, is having them learn how to do it, having them learn with you. One of the mistakes that I do see a lot of people make is that they start doing AI themselves rather than delegating it to their team. And you do want to give it to the person who will actually use the processes and the systems that you're building AI with, or else you're the only one who knows how to do it and you're not even the person doing that task. So it's a big thing to keep in mind as you're really integrating AI into your business. Next is to set kind of AI ethic policies as your team gets more and more involved in it. Things like the data privacy, of course, of your clients or anyone else involved within the business. Things like making sure that if it is made by AI, they tell you or it is explicitly said in the document that it was made by AI. And the biggest thing is accountability. Is if the AI made a mistake when it comes to the output or what it gave out, and they just didn't review it, there needs to be an accountability that, hey, yeah, I screwed up, I wasn't able to do this, or yeah, I had AI do all of it, I wasn't even able to review it. So it's making sure that there is that clarity of accountability, making sure that people understand that AI is not supposed to replace them. It's supposed to replicate or do better or multiply basically their current output. So it's not supposed to replace them making the output, it's supposed to make the current output that they have better. And essentially, of course, the best practice when it comes to AI is to monitor and adapt, is to look at the results basically that AI is creating for the business and then adapting depending on what the output is. Of course, if your social media post, for example, let's say created a copywriting AI, has doubled basically or even like 10x on the output, then of course you want to double down on that. If it failed, then stop doing, look at the things, look at the data, why it's failing, what could be done better, and basically creating that feedback loop. So then as you in your business are growing with AI, you are modifying and making sure that you're still using a lot of really good critical thinking skills, making sure that AI is actually helping the business rather than pulling the business back. Now, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there. Comment below any questions you might have when it comes to integrating AI in your business. I would love to know. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Everyone, that small steps matters. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.